Speak Up with Vernisa
and Jen.
It's time to speak up.
Hello, everyone. It was Vernisa.
Hey, y'all. This is Jen.
And this is our podcast, Speak Up. What's up, Jen?
Hey, girl.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Good that we made it to episode 7 of our newest segment, SpeakUpJV Now.
Y'all, the numbers and the episodes just keep on going and going.
Yes, most definitely. For those of you that don't know, me and Jen are best friends. We create this podcast to use our voices to motivate people to overcome life's challenges through self-love and respect.
Yep, self-love and respect are two core values we will always hold near and dear to our hearts.
Yes, most definitely. Before we get started, a quick shout out to our amazing sponsors. Shout out to My Bar, located at 720 East Manchester in Inglewood, California. Get your nails, your lashes, your hair done. Ask for mine. Tell them that SpeakUpJV sent you. The Instagram is at nyy.bar.
And shout out to Be Actual Natural. Why settle for less? All their products are created with you in mind for a goal to let your self-love show through your self-care. Their chemical-free hair and skincare products are handmade, plant-based, and free of fillers or preservatives. Treat yourself while you're taking care of yourself. Start your journey at www.beactualnatural.com or check them out on Instagram at beactualnatural.
Yes, and also check out her book, okay, Swipe Right. It's really good, by the way. So we took a little hiatus for a couple of weeks, but we back and we better. So tonight's live episode is titled "It's Normal." So if y'all listen out there, feel free to chat with us in the chat box. This is live, so we can see you guys' messages coming through. We would love to engage with y'all. So best friend, what's normal? What we talking about?
All right, y'all. Have you ever felt like maybe you moved on from something, or maybe your day started a certain way and then all of a sudden, it's a completely different way. And then you realize, oh, I haven't actually moved on from this. Well, if you said yes, then we want to let you know that that's what's normal, right? That sometimes old triggers do pop up. Sometimes we do have really bad days. Sometimes we just feel like things aren't right. They're not at their best. So in today's episode, we wanted to talk a little bit about that. And also like what we do personally, but then also things that we've learned along the way and how do we actually cope with those old triggers, right?
Yeah, I think it's good to talk about it because, when people think self-love interviews, they always think about the pretty stuff and all that. But what about the real stuff that just comes up on a daily? Me and Jim both have been doing this platform for a while, but yes, we still have our bad days and we still have times where we have challenging moments. So I think it's healthy to have an open discussion about that, and for people to acknowledge when they're not okay. I'm gonna be real. The other day, I actually had a challenging day and I was actually open about it on social media as well. And I was actually, I told myself it's okay, to admit you're not okay, even in the public eye. We don't always have to be always smiling and stuff. Sometimes you're not, and that's all right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, I love that you brought that up because, sometimes we be the main ones, right? I think one thing with being so in tune with your emotions and practicing that self-love, you realize that you actually have a lot of things held up that maybe you thought you were over, or maybe it just re-triggered you in one way or another. So we're definitely the main ones going through this, y'all, with you. So don't, trust me, we're not trying to act like we got it all figured out. We're also just trying to figure things out one day at a time, just like everybody else.
Yes, most definitely. So our ask up question of the day is, so feel free to answer in the chat box if you guys like, is how do you nurture yourself when old scars trigger you? So I just actually spoke on some of it. For me personally, is actually admitting that I'm not okay. I think, giving yourself that attention. How many times do we look over the scar or something that hurts and we just keep going even though it hurts, And also too, for me, I'm an affectionate person. I love affection. For those of y'all that actually know me, it's okay to admit you need a hug. I'm one of those people. I say, can I have a hug? I need a hug right now. And honestly, that's ways I've been allowing myself to be nurtured, allow others to nurture me as well when I'm having a moment like that.
I love that so much. Yeah. I don't know if I would say this is nurturing, but it definitely gets it out the way. I let myself have those bad days or feel those triggers. I let them take me to that dark place that I needed to. So that way I truly understand also just how bad these triggers actually are. So that when I am ready to finally move on and, finally either talk about them or just even process them, that I realize, okay, how much of it is still really affecting my daily life. It might not be the best way, maybe not for everybody, because sometimes you do go into a rabbit hole with those, but I've learned a lot about myself when I let myself do that. And it's a way that works for me.
Mm. I think that was well said, honestly. So, feel free to share any couple any mechanisms you guys know. We would love to hear about it. It's funny because we actually tweeted that on our Twitter, and it was getting a lot of engagement. Like people were actually a lot of it was getting like retweets and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, y'all know, look, y'all, it's a good question to ask. It's healthy. So, we wrote this down. What does a bad day look like for us? A challenging day. I like to say challenging day instead of bad because you're right, nothing's like super bad all the time, but sometimes it is a little harder than usual. And I agree with you, Jen, when you were saying how you allow yourself just to feel everything. I've been learning like it's okay if I have a like super emotional day, as long as it ain't like happening every day. If you have that one day when you kind of just let things out, you know what I mean? I think it's nothing wrong with that. And then you pick yourself back up. I feel stronger actually after I cried. I let things out because when I'm not acknowledging it, that's actually when the weaker parts come in.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'll have to piggyback off of that as well. I think I'm a lot more quiet on a bad day because I also too like to know or like to let other people know that I'm not blaming them for my bad day, right? That I'm also acknowledging that this is something going on internally with me. So I would hope that they don't take that silence in a personal way or in a negative way. But I like to process my bad days by myself first before I can actually fully speak on them.
Mm. Yeah, right. So you can even know what's going on in the first place.
For
Ain't
real.
nothing like when somebody say what's wrong and you really don't even know at the moment. I'm like, give me like
That
10 minutes and I'll know exactly what's really going on.
Yeah, sometimes, and let's be real with us women, sometimes it really be the mood swings, the hormones, getting older, all of that. That really has a lot to do with it.
Yes, that's the real. And me and Jen actually both had birthdays recently. So, we stepping into our grown woman self, getting growner and growner. And I feel like it's definitely been a shift on how I handle my challenging days. Like I used to be afraid of my challenging days. Now I kind of like it's okay pushing through it. I'm like, oh, this is what it's gonna be. I'm gonna let it flood and let it all. It's like you grown. You don't care what nobody thinks, anymore and stuff like that. It's like if something's not right, you're gonna admit it and work through it.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that a lot too. Because also, like, in getting older, right, you should still care at least about your own opinion, even if you're not caring about anybody else's. Yours is the most important one. And let's be real, sometimes that self-talk even doesn't let us have a good day, right? We may nothing in reality, nothing may be even wrong to begin with, but with when that self-talk starts getting in there and maybe it's not the best day for it, um it starts to really take a toll. So what are we actually going to do on those days that self-talk does take over when it's in a more negative space? I think this is a really big question that I personally struggle with sometimes, because it's like I said, when I allow myself to get into those dark spaces, even that self-talk isn't going to get any better in that very moment. So I even let that self-talk kind of creep in because I want to see what it's capable of. I'm almost like disassociating from it, but in reality, knowing that it's me. I don't know. It's a whole weird process, but I like it because it lets me know too that I don't have to necessarily listen to that negative self-talk all the time. Like I don't have to believe everything that is trying to tell me or everything that I'm thinking in my head, because just like we tend to really be on an extreme when we're happy, we also tend to be on an extreme when we're sad or when we're angry, right? So that self-talk follows that cycle as well. So when we're paying attention to that, we also get to realize like, okay, no, let me bring myself back to reality, and what am I actually trying to tell myself after all of that negativity is able to get out my head.
I like that. And I'm glad you brought that up about kind of allowing the negative self-talk, because it's like I feel like you end up in that identity when you're in that dark moment. That dark side does come out, and like the meaner self. And I've been learning that when you finally do feel better, I've been learning the importance of forgiving yourself in those dark moments. Yeah, I've said some mean things to me when I wasn't. Obviously, it's not true, but forgive myself for it and stuff. And then it's like I learned, okay, next time, it makes you want to be more gentle with yourself when those things do happen. So I like that. Good
I
one.
like that a lot. Yeah, definitely too. And what we're about to say next is obviously a reminder for anybody out there who is struggling that some pain really just never ends. And this is why what we were saying, like that self-talk can get pretty negative at times, because maybe we're ruminating on a mistake that we made, or maybe a certain decision with somebody, or something that even is completely out of our control, that self-talk is just starting to creep in. So associating that with that pain that may be in there too may make it even 10 times harder, 100 times harder. And sadly, pain is a part of life, as we've all experienced at some point or another. But it's learning to live with that pain almost at certain times too that makes us resilient and makes us realize what we actually are made of, when we're able to, I wouldn't say overcome it fully, but when we're able to kind of live with it and it doesn't impact our daily lives as much.
Yeah, I love that. I actually tweeted this today. From our Speak Up page, I tweeted this. Don't be afraid of your wisdom. And honestly, I think when we're going through that pain, that bad day, those bad days, it is where you learn the most. Like, you learn the most about yourself or people around you, or just about experience in general. And it's like, okay, don't be afraid to step into that after that passes. It's like, this happened to me, but look, this is the wisdom. I've been having, it's just crazy. Being a big sister is so cool. I never had, I didn't have a big sister. So being one, and now, having these two beautiful young women look up to me and come to me for knowledge as I'm getting older as a woman, it's, I'm looking at some of the pain I went through when I was younger, like when I was in my, our early college years and stuff, or like boy situations and stuff. And, it makes the pain less hurtful, because it's like, I can share this now with these young women who are about to probably go through something similar or thinking about it. You know what I mean? And it's like, it doesn't hurt so much. It's like, okay, I'm taking that and making it into a purpose now. It's like spreading that wisdom. And it's like, I'm not ashamed of what I went through. This is who I am. It's who I became. But my sisters at least can have some type of blueprint to avoid certain things.
Yes, I think sometimes too, and obviously whatever you want to believe in is fine, right? But like that just proves too that sometimes um we're meant to go through certain things so that we can help our loved ones not go through that, right? Like I think you are the perfect role model for your sisters in that sense. Like you're able to show them, hey, like this is what I'm going to go through. I understand you're going to make your own mistakes, but if there's anything I can teach you from mine and that you don't end up doing, then all the better, right? And then obviously look at who you've become because of certain things that have happened to you, certain decisions that you made along the way. Like you're still making it through, you're still succeeding. So you're also showing that even if you make certain decisions that may not have been the best for you, and now you're wiser, then maybe you were meant to go through that, right? And same like with your sisters or anybody out there. Obviously, me, I've made mistakes that I'm like looking back, dang, I really like I couldn't have prevented that, but like
we would
exactly. If it took me to where I am today, then I don't regret any of it. At the end of the day, you just try to make the best decisions with the knowledge that you have. And if you realize that it wasn't the best decision, then you ask yourself, what did you learn and how can you be better the next time? But you have to allow yourself to go through those bad days after the consequences of those decisions so that you can get to this point as well.
Oh yes, yeah, that's true. Because everything, there's a cause and effect literally for everything. So it's like sometimes too we have to take accountability. Okay, some of the bad days, we kind of caused it. So it goes with it. And I want to say this too. We said this in the beginning, but yeah, even the top, even the top therapists, gurus, they have bad days too. Like I said, we're in a polished society where it's easy to make things look pretty, visually pleasing and stuff like that. But that's not the reality. You can literally fake. I saw a makeup video today. A girl just basically, her face was right here. And it said, "Oh, your makeup is flawless. Your skin looks so clear." And then she did a zoom in of her face. The makeup was on her. You see her little blemish, but she was like, this is my natural face. So what I'm trying to say is, I love how she could have just kept that video and made it look like this is how my makeup came out. But I love the authenticity about it.
And I love that it's almost becoming more, I don't even want to say normalized. It's almost becoming more accentuated to show our flaws, our imperfections at this time, especially in the makeup community or, the fitness community, whatever. Like, because I think those are two of the most influential industries that also where we can compare ourselves a lot to and be like, dang, I wish I was like this, I wish I was like that. And what these influencers or gurus, whatever, are showing us that they have their moments too, or even as much as they work out, as much as they have a skincare routine, whatever, like they still have texturized skin, they still have cellulite, they still have their insecurities. Like, I think it's just beautiful because we're still showing each other that it's possible to be human, but still love yourself and know that there is no perfect version of anybody, no matter what these filters try to tell us, no matter how we feel on the inside, that we're all going to have certain things that maybe we don't like about ourselves. But as long as we learn to embrace them, then we realize that that's kind of what makes us unique. That's what shows us that, oh, this girl has skin that looks like mine and I've seen hers get better. Then cool, I'm going to follow her routine because maybe it'll work for me, or vice versa. Like, this is the part of being able to share with somebody and being relatable to at the same time. Like, I think this is what I love most, that we're emphasizing we can still relate to each other, especially in a world where we felt like we've had to isolate ourselves from each other at some points. It's almost like we're coming together again through that authenticity showing through.
Yeah, like, in like the power of not hiding yourself, like not hiding who you truly are, not hiding true the fact, certain things you have to do. So I love that. And let's go in deeper too. Learning to acknowledge when you're not okay. So, think about that overworked person, that works a lot, doesn't take care of it, doesn't get to eat a decent meal, stuff like that. When that crash kicks in, when you finally are done and you fall out, it's like a point comes where you're kind of forced to acknowledge that you're tired, that you need some rest. So, with our mental health, it shouldn't have to get super bad for us to finally admit it. I'm learning to, even if it's a tiny bad day, acknowledge, okay, hold on. This is, acknowledge what it is, because I've done that. I'm fine. Oh, I'm good. I'm strong. I'll get past it. I know I'll get past it. I know I'm equipped to get through anything. But however, you know what I mean? It's okay to acknowledge and take those pauses when necessary.
Yeah, or else your body's gonna do it for you, right? Or your mind's gonna do it for you too. Because that burnout is real, even in a job or in a hustle, or even like on your fitness journey, whatever. Like, you do need those moments of rest so that you can recharge. I think we don't emphasize that recharge enough, and we've done a whole episode on that specific topic as well before. But it's still important nonetheless, especially when you're having a bad day too. Like, bad days can also be those rest days, right? It can be that rest day from too much even positivity that you've been having lately. Like, sometimes, and this is going to sound really bad and maybe counter productive to what we talk about, but sometimes I get tired of just motivational videos or motivational quotes as well, because I'm like, you know what, I'm not in that mindset right now. Like, I need to get through whatever stuff is going on in my head, so I'm not in the space to hear somebody tell me, yeah, you're gonna get through this, whatever. No, I need somebody who's telling me, you know what, I'm freaking going through it too with y'all, and I'm just being vulnerable and sharing it. Like, it shows me that, oh, there's more people out there who may be feeling something similar as me. So when we're also acknowledging those bad days, we're also normalizing that rest, and we're seeing again, like, these influencers, these top celebrities even, or just people who we know, normalizing that, hey, even though they're hustling, they're ambitious, they're successful, all of that, they're also taking those rest days, whether it's a bad rest day or a forced rest day or a good rest day, or I didn't see this coming type of rest day. Nonetheless, it's important for them and their lifestyle.
I love that. I'm glad you brought up the fact about, like, sometimes you don't want to hear motivational. You want to hear like the real, right? I've been binge watching Desperate Housewives. I haven't seen it in years, but I haven't really watched it. So it was crazy you said that, because last night, one of the episodes, basically, how some housewives want their house to look like it's so perfect, like they don't be having problems. And the show shows what these housewives go through, behind closed doors. Like, even the couple that makes their marriage look like it's perfect behind closed doors, they're really about to get a divorce. Long story short, there's this one housewife. She's overworked home, stay-home mom, so she has a lot of kids and stuff like that. She was really struggling, but she knew how to keep it together. But the episode came where she broke. She couldn't handle it. And I remember, and then when her friends came to like check on her, they admitted some of the downfalls that they're having in their marriage, and she just started crying and said, "I'm glad you guys admitted that. I thought I had to, I had pressure to feel like I had to keep everything together, but it's like, can we just be more honest with each other and say we're all, because we're friends, we're not okay? can we just start doing that instead of acting like our lives are so perfect or like our husbands and stuff? And it was just beautiful because I'm like, yeah, if more of us, especially in our within our friend group or community, with your married people, you know what I mean? Your friends, anyone, your family could be there for you.
Right. Oof, that's amazing. That's a really good show, by the way. The older I get, the more I realize some of these shows have been slept on, and it's good to
If we
rewatch.
grow now, well, we can understand it better.
Exactly. But that's amazing too, because sometimes, yeah, it's not even like the people online that we see or whatever. Like you were saying, it can be that friend group or that family that we see. Dang, how does everybody around me have their shit together, but I don't? Right. But in normalizing talking about something like that, we're realizing we all got problems, whether it's family, finances, educational, even mental, all kinds of things, right? We all have our own story. We all have our things that we're going through. So when we're creating that safe space with each other, especially within like closer friend groups, we realize like, oh shoot, okay, we're good in that case. And then you realize too how much support you actually do have, because it's like, oh girl, I was going through that as well. This is what helped me. Or I've never been through that, but I can be a listening ear for you. Like, this is why too it's important to know who you're talking to and be able to trust the people around you as well. It's always watching out for that. But I love that, because it's showing that no matter how much we may admire a cousin, a best friend, or a significant other, whatever, for their lifestyle, we never know what's really going on in here and behind all the daily lives that they're living. So in talking about it, yeah, we're realizing none of us really got anything figured out. We're all just trying to live day by day and trying to see where it goes.
They literally day by day. So that's the thing with this flexing on social media. That don't let it fool you,
Exactly.
And let's talk about a little when to be concerned when the bad days aren't getting any better. So
Mm.
that's a big one. Obviously we have our bad days every now and then, but yeah, really watch yourself. If you look up, it's a pattern and it's like not getting any better. There's something that's really bothering you. Maybe seek professional help or really open up about it.
Yeah, this is a really big one. And I'm glad we're, taking a moment to talk about this, because I know we say it a lot, but especially when it comes to the bad days and the triggers, like, we have to look at it at a point of when is it actually affecting our lives, to where we're not taking risks, or we're not moving forward, or we're just not feeling any sort of satisfaction coming in after that, right? Like, nothing makes us happy. We feel like a different person, even with our chemistry or anything like that. Like, this is when it is concerning, or when maybe somebody else brings it up in our circle, where they're like, hey, I've noticed you're not acting the same anymore, and no matter what happens, like, you're not moving past this. Those are definitely things to listen to, and even listen to yourself, right? You notice best when things are changing, and don't be afraid to seek that professional help. There's all kinds of even free resources. We've had a therapist also on our show, so they can provide resources as well. Like, there's so many different routes that we can all take to get that help that we may need when things get a little bit out of control and we feel like we can't do it ourselves.
Yes, well said. So please, and also reach out to us. We can also direct you to some resources if you're having trouble. And also too, another thing, verbalize you're not okay through boundaries. So I mean, me and Jen are very similar in this part I'm about to say. If we ain't okay, we don't like to be around people. Like I say that sometimes. We got our moment because, like Jensen said earlier in the episode, I'm like this too. We the type of people, we don't want to bleed on others. You know what I mean? Like, we're very cautious about like, okay, I have to deal with this tornado I'm having right now. So it's like, if that's a boundary you need to set with your loved ones, that's okay. But be able to verbalize that too. I want to say this too, people can't read your minds either. So, don't go off missing, every now and then the person really can't, so it's like really about if you set that stuff straight, I think people around you will understand and know how to move and cope with you as well.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad we brought that up. We have a whole episode on boundaries as well, by the way, y'all.
Everything, okay.
Well, if you feel like you're not sure how to move forward with them, and everything, and obviously it's going to vary on a day-to-day lifestyle, but it's super important to have them, especially on those bad days. And then asking yourself too, what are you learning from this bad day, right? Like we said, we like to learn in this show. We like to find solutions in this show, be productive. So when you're trying to find the lesson in things, you're also moving forward with your life, and also just in your relationship with you, right? Like, that's the most important one that you're going to have. So when you're trying to figure out what is this trying to teach me, you either learn about yourself on a mental note, or maybe what your character's like, or maybe certain things that, yeah, hey, that doesn't line with my morals, so I'm not even gonna go there anymore. Or even unhealed parts of yourself, the parts that may not be so pretty, the parts that maybe we don't show the rest of the world every single day. But as long as you're being able to nurture that and talk to those parts of yourself, then that's the biggest lesson that you can learn. Like, how do I become more me, even with the flaws that I carry?
I love that. And also too, with self-reflecting on bad days. Let's say it was something that took a lot of my energy. I learned from that. Like, okay, I'm not going to give my energy to these certain things. Because sometimes too, we're having a bad day because we focus on the wrong stuff. It is what it is. And it's really about, okay, how can I move from that so that doesn't happen again? That doesn't deserve my time. It doesn't deserve my energy or my emotion. So it's like that's something to learn also when you're going through that. And I want to say this too: learn to be okay with not having the answer to everything that happens with us. Some things are going to happen. You're not going to know why and how. I'm a very logical person. And my mind's always analyzing, trying to figure out why, who, what. I'm learning some things you're just not going to know. And it's like you have to know how to. Okay, I'm gonna take what happened and move on with it. Shout out to We Don't Make the Rules podcast. What they say.
They said that's why I don't watch the Lakers. They don't help make me happy. LMAO.
Which one is this one on here? Is this beef? Who's this one? Phoebe, who's this one?
I'm
Right?
thinking,
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, the Lakers be having me hot. Look, I stopped a long time ago. Blood pressure going up. Look. Oh, what's up, Felix?
hey.
Oh yeah. What's his name? He's a Clipper fan, I think. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. That's a good one. So you have a boundary with that, and I'm gonna control my day.
Oh, that's funny. That's a form of self-love too, right? Not watching things that make you angry, especially in sports.
Yeah, there's certain things I'm like, I ain't fucking with it. We good.
That's hilarious.
Oh, that was funny. Okay. Woo.
And it goes, yeah, with what you were saying about not having an answer, right? The Lakers having bad multiple seasons. Sometimes we don't have an answer to that. We just we
Cowboys too. Look, I'm tired. Look, we tired.
Exactly. We just don't always have an answer to things. And I think this is something that I have to constantly remind myself, because me being the hopeless romantic that I've always been, or even just like the type of movies that I like to watch, I like movies that make sense, that have a storyline, they have answers to the questions that may have been asked. You're the same way. So, I already know, like, because movies are like this for me. At one point I tricked myself into thinking life was going to be like that as well, that it was always going to provide me with answers. Like, even the novelas that I watch, they have to have answers too. So my whole life, like, I was thinking it had to be like that, but certain things happened to me along the way that even up until this day I don't have answers to. And I'm like, you know what, instead of racking my brain trying to figure out why this happened to me, it's like, all right, it happened. I don't understand it. All I know is who I'm coming out from the end of that. And that's my answer right there, right? Maybe it was just a lesson I had to learn. And if it was a really hard lesson, then, thank God I'm surviving and I'm able to talk about it and move forward from it. But yeah, it's certain things that we're just never going to fully understand. But maybe it's just a test of character too. Sometimes, right, life is our teacher and we are just their students.
Look, well said. And so have a relationship with that wound as well. So it's time for our tweet up segment. So y'all know I like to be on Twitter. So something that I tweeted this week that goes with the episodes is this is what I tweeted. When Kendrick Lamar said, "My past won't keep me from my best," I felt that. So y'all know the song Die Hard. And when he said, I don't know, it's something about that because it's true. Because just because something bad happened in the past is the past. We've been through some crazy stuff. Doesn't mean your best day yet to come. That's not going to keep you back from it. Now, you can allow it to, but that's a decision we have to make. Like, are we going to prevail? Are we going to move forward? You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't define you as a person, what someone did to hurt you. That's a projection of that's that person. So it's like, I don't know. I like that. It quote's very powerful to me. It's very simple. It's the truth. And it's like there's more, healing and best yet to come.
Yeah, I like that too, because it reminds me of something that someone once posed to us on our show of like, oh, if someone was this type of way, are they supposed to have a relationship with that in the future? And in reality, it's like, yeah, certain decisions that we make do shape us into who we are. And maybe we may not control what happened in between that time that we were that type of person. depending on what it is, of course. But once we're moving forward and we're trying to be better, it's always that test of character afterwards, right? Who you are after making those decisions, after you're hurting people, or after making certain financial decisions that got you in trouble, or making certain relationship decisions that maybe weren't the best for you. Like, it's not a matter of that particular time, but it's afterwards, right? It's kind of like how they say, we can't control what other people say to us, but we can control how we react to it. It's the same exact thing, that sometimes life is going to throw certain things at us, whether it's our fault or not. And it's not about, how we're dealing with it right then and there. It's about how we're dealing with it once it's finally done, once we're out of that storm. How are we moving forward? Are we going to continue living in that past? Are we going to continue being bitter about it and those decisions that we made and just stay back there? Or are we going to move forward? Because let's be real, time continues ticking, right? We're almost done with this month, so that means we're almost done with the first 2 months of this year. So it's just asking ourselves, what have we done these past 2 months to better ourselves as a person, whether financially or any type of way? So anything that you left behind in 2022, are you really leaving it behind, or have you taken it with you in these past 2 months?
Yeah, that's true. And it shows how powerful our minds are because, when we're reliving it and we're in that tunnel, guess what? You're going to act like you're still there. So you just hesitant, you're still going to be that way. And I'm speaking from experience, like if someone gave me a certain trust issue or a certain this and that, if I'm still stuck there mentally, but presently that person's acting better, I'm still going to act in that way that I did when the person was doing what they were doing, even though they changed as a person. So it's like if someone was cheated on growing, a long time ago, but they get with a new person that's healthy, if they're still in that tunnel, they're going to react like they're still with that person who was cheating on them. You know what I mean? So it's really about recognize. We did an episode on this too, recognizing what lens you are viewing life from, a hurt lens, or are you really trying to work through it and change it? So this is something I'm still actively working on, and yeah, it's true.
That's really big. Yeah. And, that brings the question too of like forgiveness, right? I know we all talk about we need to learn to forgive, learning to forgive others, but learning to forgive ourselves too, even when we continue moving in that type of way. And there's nothing wrong with it as long as we're actively just trying to move forward, right? Because then too, we realize how much we're missing on living this life either with this person or without this person too, right? Because sometimes you could let that person go, but you're still holding on to certain things, yeah, about it. So it's a matter of forgiving ourselves for whatever type of lens that we're living through. And then, as we always talk about, right, acknowledging it and just being better every day. And it's hard, I think even as a society in general, like we tend to not forget certain things. Like that's why we have remembrance days on even certain events that have happened in our country, which is good, always remember. But how many of us are still living in that exact moment versus living with it and moving forward?
I like that. No, that was well said because our memories go a long way, definitely. And I want to say this to y'all. The thing about a bad day, it can get better.
Yeah.
Shoot, it can start off bad. I don't mean the ending of it's gonna go like that. Y'all, I'm big on starting that day all the way over if I got to sometimes. Sometimes like, we're gonna redo this, take two. But it can get better, and I think that's like the beauty thing, the beautiful thing about it.
That's right. And sometimes you have to force yourself out of your own head. I was going to say this, it's like a muscle when you're actively trying to just be like, okay, you know what? Yeah, not today, right? You know how we hear that word, that phrase, not today, Satan, whatever. But it's like, okay, let's say I had a bad day yesterday. I'm the type of person where if I had one bad day, I don't want to have 2 bad days in a row.
Ooh,
And sometimes I have to force myself not to, because even if I'm carrying what happened last night or what I was thinking last night or the day before, whatever, I'm trying to just be better the second day. So if I have to work it like a muscle and telling myself, hey, let's have better thoughts today. Let me disrupt this negative thought today. Or let me just, even if you have to fake being more joyous today, right? It may be exhausting in the beginning, but then you realize, you know what? Yeah, it's getting a little bit easier throughout the day. Or surround yourself with people who make you laugh, or listen to something that makes you laugh. We always talk about this, that laughter is definitely the best medicine. Like sometimes we'll just be like, oh, I needed that laugh today. But that's you actively trying to be better in your mind as well, so that you can make your reality even better. And fighting against your mind, if y'all have ever tried it, it's one of the hardest things you'll probably ever have to do in your life. But if you're really trying to move forward, it's one of the best things that you can do for yourself. So if you find that you're struggling a little bit more and you're still living in your past, I dare you to force yourself out of your head for a little bit and see what that does for you. If that makes your day a little bit better, whatever that may look like for you, right? Taking a walk, a run, listening to the rain, music, talking to friends, taking yourself out on a date, whatever that may look like for you, force yourself to have a good day today. And if it's too late for you today, then force yourself to have a good day tomorrow and see what happens.
And I love that you brought up the bad days 2 days in a row and the forcing yourself to have a better day the next day, because the day after the challenging day I had this week, I went into gratitude for getting past the day. I went and just said what I'm grateful for, and it's like the fact you woke up the next day after going through that, but you still was able to you waking up feeling better. You got through it. I think that's something to clap for. That already makes it a little bit better to where you're not going to have that bad day 2 days in a row, So I'm glad that you brought that up. But also too, know who you can vent to. Sometimes you cannot do things alone. I want to say that like loud as F, like, you know what I mean? We're taught on social media, I'm tough, I don't need no one, didn't know new friend. No. Your day is gonna come when you need a friend, you need a family member, someone to cry to, vent to. Like, you know what I mean? This world is crazy, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I'm big on prayer too, standing on faith, of course. But I really, but as a God-fearing woman, I really believe God too sends people around you too to be there for you during those times, to speak to you through, for God to speak to them through you, speak to you through them.
Yeah.
So it's things like that where it's like, people are, trying to show that support, allow people to, and know that it's okay, but also to know who not to vent to. That's a big one, because you can't do that with everybody. Because even some people do appear like they're going to be kind and loving towards you, meanwhile praying on your downfall.
Oof. Big one right there. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. And I know we see that happen, unfortunately, more often than not, right? Like, we find out people betray us or whichever way, they're not the best person to vent to for this occasion. So sometimes it will be a trial and error type of thing. And we only learn if we actually do it, make the mistake. But as long as we move forward, pay attention to the people who have shown you consistently that they can be there for you and that they genuinely do want the best for you. But also taking ourselves off a pedestal, right? Like you said this, that keep realizing we are humans after all. Like, I think once we've moved past a certain, I want to say, phase of the pain, we hold ourselves here thinking, oh, okay, I finally made it up here to the top. Everything's all at the bottom of me. And we're so scared to hit that bottom again that we're holding ourselves up here. But by what? Through our fears? Are we genuinely even healed from that? And then reminding ourselves that because healing isn't linear, that there's going to be certain cracks along the way that we're going to have to refill just to hold up that pedestal all over again. So instead of doing that, which is utterly exhausting, by the way, just take yourself off of that and realize that it's okay to have human moments. We are human continuously. There's not a moment where it's like, oh shoot, I have to be completely perfect today and hold myself together and everything. If you need to have a human moment, go ahead and have a human moment. Of course, granted that the environment is appropriate for it, but realizing that you are going to make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes are going to feel so horrible, like your world's ending, and maybe in that moment it is, but allow yourself to have that. Don't ever feel like, oh, I can't show this part of me because it's unlovable or something like that. Like, if the right people are around you, those ugly parts are actually the parts that they're going to see is why you need more love, right? Is why you need them around, and vice versa as well. So don't ever be afraid to be human. And remember too that anybody that you may put on a pedestal, whether it's a loved one, a celebrity, whatever, they're all humans too. They all make mistakes as well, and they all have those type of moments.
Yeah, like have grace with yourself. Actually, some people are just better at making it look like everything okay when it's really not. I've been like, we're gonna talk. We were supposed to talk about this later, so I'm gonna bring it up now. I've been learning to have a better relationship with my vulnerability. I'm a very intense, emotional person, and I'm aware of that. But however, instead of shaming myself for it, I'm learning to have that relationship with it and know that, and not to put myself on this pedestal when the vulnerability does kick in and feel like, oh no, like why am I being vulnerable about this topic? It's a reason it hurts. But guess what? You feel better when you let it out and you're able to speak about and being your true self about how you really feel about something. So That's
Yeah,
what. Yeah.
I agree 100%, y'all. We never stop being humans. And also going off of everything, right? Like how we were saying, let yourself be nurtured, let life be spoken into you, especially when you shut down. And I'm very big on this because I can be the main one to shut down where it's like, no, I don't want to talk about this, or, I'm not ready yet, or something like that. But it makes me realize that it's hard for me to receive even compliments or receive the love or receive just that ear to listen to. Like, it's something that is absolutely necessary, especially on those hard days, those bad days, because your mind may not be the nicest to you already. So why wouldn't you allow yourself to receive those beautiful words that may pick you up even for a slight moment that you didn't even know you needed?
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was well said. I think of that song, "Lean on Me." Wait, that's what came in my head when you said that. But it's real. So it is time for our life up segments. This is when we take our topic and relate it to the world. So what is our life up for tonight?
Yeah, we touched on this a little bit, but tonight's life up segment is us having that pressure of always having to prove to the world that we're fine. This is a big one, right? I know we've talked about like, oh, don't always vent your problems on social media or to just anybody, but also too, we've created this like perfect society of like, oh, I can only show this part of me, or XYZ. So much so to the fact that even off of social media we may feel that type of way where it's like, oh, I'm never going to let my people see me down or anything like that. And can you imagine how destructive and on the surface relationships we're having in that case? Because that means we're not letting people see the real us. We're not letting them see the moments that even we don't want to see, and that's not going to help us create any type of foundations for any relationship that we may have. And especially with ourselves, because we're also the one person we can't lie to. So when we're always constantly saying, "No, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine," you're actually creating this type of reaction in your head that you're not allowing yourself to process things, and thus you're not allowing yourself to get to know yourself in the same time.
Yeah, it's like it gives you one identity. Like, oh,
Hmm.
fine. It's like, well, what's really going on? And
Right.
the whole hype of the bounce back from something drastic. Like I feel like, even if like this is for social media too, when people, let's say someone is open about something drastic that happened to them, it's like, okay, I have to show everyone I'm okay now, like instantly. Like, I showed that this happened, but oh, I'm fine now. Like, it's like, are you really okay, or is this just, are we still trying to please everybody on social media and make it seem like, I'm not saying like spread negativity everywhere and just be a Debbie Downer, but we don't have it. Like, I feel like there's so much pressure on this to make it seem like, okay, like I got this. But I think me and Jen were talking about this the other day, even with when a woman has a baby, the whole bounce back culture of like after. And it's like, okay, yes, some women do work, whatever, get back into shape instantly, and then some don't. But why are we shaming other women who have different situations when it comes to that? So it's like this whole bounce back thing is really like a myth.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's cool. I love seeing the glow up right after like a drastic event, whether it's a fitness thing, a finance thing, a relationship thing, whatever. Like, obviously we root for the underdog, we want to see them transform and everything, which is great. But why are we so in a hurry to see the after instead of seeing the during as well? If the during tends to be a much longer process and tends to be the more real parts, showing how hard it actually is to get to that glow up, to get to that bounce back part. And personally, I love seeing the during parts for people
Yeah.
because that's usually the type of the phase that I'm in. And I'm like, I have my days where it's like, damn, I don't want to do this and things like that. So if I see if I see a video of somebody going through something similar, then I'm like, okay, then this is normal. So there is a bounce back afterwards, because then it's almost like, oh, okay, I immediately have to have a bounce back. Well, how much time has to go in between that? And when somebody normalizes a certain timeline or something, I'm like, okay, then I'm not doing that bad. Or even if they say, hey, mine was really long, but yours can be a little bit shorter. Like, it just shows that everybody has a different lifestyle, different routine that they follow and things like that. So it's cool to have the bounce back mentality. Obviously, always aim for more, right? Aim to be better, but also normalize the in between phase, the awkward stage, the phase where it's like, oh shoot, I have no motivation left. Now it's just discipline kicking in. That's the time that is usually going to be the longest, but also the hardest. And it's the part that a lot of people don't really talk about.
Oh, yes. And, I've been learning patience because lately because of, I've been running with a run group and, just seeing the patience that it takes to build your stamina
Mm.
with distant running, it's crazy because, once you like knock out more miles and you realize you can do more and more and like 2 doesn't seem as bad anymore. 3 doesn't. It's like, whoa. So it's like, I feel like running has taught me to appreciate the during.
Yeah.
Like versus like, dang, I'm not running this many miles. It's like, okay, shoot, you passed that milestone, And I think that's the mindset we should take with us to other parts of our lives. So no, that was definitely well said. We want to say this too. Happiness is a journey, it's not a destination. So it's like, let's emphasize the happiness on the path in the in between. Not that because if we keep the mindset, I'll be happy when I lose this weight. I'll be happy when I meet this many miles. You're not gonna be happy
Mm.
while you're trying to do it. You know what I mean? It takes away the fun of the journey to get there.
Right. And it almost makes it seem like there is no life after that in that case. Like everything stops after that. And that's a little dangerous too, because then that's where that complacency comes in. Or like you were saying, that dissatisfaction of like, okay, now I'm here, now what? Or it's taking me so long to get there, now what? Like it's such a detrimental mentality to have versus when you realize, you know what, there's little things I can be happy about in my journey. I can be happy I passed that milestone, right? I can be happy that these sweaters fit me a little bit better today, or if it's a different type of journey. Like it's just important to find that happiness in those itty bitty little moments, especially on those bad days, versus us always looking for something motivational or something like that. Just be grateful maybe that it finally rained. Right here in California, we're finally having this rain,
Yes.
so it's something that it's beautiful to see. You still appreciate mother nature and things like that, or you appreciate being where you are or who you're with, or just different things like that. Trust me, if we force ourselves to think about it, there's even something super minor to be grateful for today.
Yes, trust me, there's definitely always something to be grateful for. And another one we wanted to bring up a part of our life up is people not feeling safe to admit they're having a bad day or like feeling like how they're feeling is being dismissed. So
Mhm.
this is a huge one. I've actually posted something about this the other day. Like, check on your loved ones. You don't know what silent battles people are fighting. Especially the people who appear to be strong and stuff like that. So because I feel like when people are checked on and stuff, they'll feel safer to admit they're having a bad day or admit that they need help. But if like I feel like sometimes people feel like they have a lack of support or they
Mhm.
feel like no one cares how they feel or what they're going through, like and sometimes that can be hard. You know what I mean? It make you want to shut down and feel like you have to carry the world on your own when that's not true. So how do we fix this? Honestly, as many people safe, let's take things one step at a time and let's normalize vulnerability in this crazy
Yes,
world.
absolutely, y'all. Like that's super important. I wanted to add too about like checking on our loved ones. If you genuinely feel like you don't have anybody around you who you can trust, right? Because I've seen that a lot too. The good thing, the beautiful thing about the internet is that there's so many anonymous groups too that you can write into, that are specifically dealing with what you're dealing with, right? I particularly follow a set of women who have gone through the same medical journey that I have, and it's so empowering to go through that, and something so beautiful about them not knowing who I am, me not knowing who they are, but we're still able to be so vulnerable with each other in a way that only this type of community understands. So I encourage anybody out there who's having that similar struggle to find your group, find your niche, whether it's an app or a community on social media, or maybe it's an actual group that you go to physically. But find your people and be able to share things with them, because sometimes the best people are the ones who don't even know you.
Yeah, no, it's true. Especially like when there's similar wounds there. So y'all know what time it is. It is time for our drink up water segment. So if you're listening out there, please grab some water, drink some water. Adrian has a water fact for tonight.
So tonight's water fact has to do with the eyeballs, because usually when you're having a bad day, you're probably crying. So the water fact is the eyes rely on water to help keep them lubricated in the form of tears. Lubrication is necessary to keep eyes moist, remove bacteria, and remove dust particles and other small particles that may get in the eyes. When the body's dehydrated, there's not enough water to go around to remain hydrated. And I love this because you think that tears just may come naturally, right? That you don't really have to worry about them. But in reality, you drinking water and staying hydrated actually fuels those tears too. So I don't know if it's weird to say, like, if you find yourself having a hard time crying, maybe you're dehydrated. But you know, yeah, regardless, like, make sure you're drinking your water.
So I
Yeah.
cried a lot. There we go.
I know.
Figured it out.
The tears gotta come out somehow. But regardless, stay drinking your water, because apparently it affects even your eyeballs. So
That's hey, okay. So look, we learned something today. That was our drink on water fact. Look, them little lovey dovey movies, you catching up to me. I'll be watching like a teddy bear come up and start crying. I'm like, what's going on here? So look, so it is time for our quote up segment. So y'all know Jenna's a quotey. So she got a quote for tonight that goes with our topic.
that's right. Tonight's quote is, be patient. Sometimes you have to go through the worst to get to the best. Give time some time. Karen Salmonson. And I love the ending of this quote, especially the give time some time, right? It goes to the some pain we just never get over, some things we just don't have answers to, some pain we just learn to live with, right? Some days we just learn to live with. But sometimes they say that the best way to cure a wound is to just give it time. Because sometimes it's not even a cure that it needs, it just needs something for you to, even though you know it's going to be there, it doesn't affect you as much. It's not going to affect your daily life as much. And however long that takes, of course, is very subjective. But this quote just reminds us that sometimes the worst days are really just leading us up to the best days in our lives. So just give time that time, right? And just keep going as best as you can.
Oh, I love that. Like, I think of like, you can get into a heated argument with a loved one, and sometimes you need a little space to cool down. And it's like
Mhm.
once you get to that time, it's like, and it really goes away, that cloud, whatever caused it. It's like you really, you think about what that person means to you, and it's like easier to come back and work through it. So I love that. Again, I give time some time. That was like nice and settled. And also too, be patient with yourself through the bad days. So it is what it is sometimes. And me and Jen did an episode about effective patience. So sometimes too, it's about what are you doing in that time period when you're being patient. So that's another thing to have to keep in mind during these.
Definitely. And just like we know that the bad days are coming, we know that there's good days coming in that case. So learning to still enjoy those good days when they do come. Like if you or me, for example, if I break down my past week, right, I would say I had one bad day. So that means I had 6 relatively good days compared to that one bad day. So I'm making it a habit to try and enjoy something good in those good days, because it's not always going to be like that, right? There are gonna have be times where that bad day just takes over everything. But am I gonna let that affect the rest of my life? And am I gonna let it tell me, hey, your life sucks because of this one bad day in this one week? No, I'm just gonna learn to live with it, learn to move past it, but also learn to enjoy those good moments that are happening on every other day.
Yeah, like let's go hard for our good moments, like we do with our bad, right? Like let's soak that all the way in. So I
Absolutely.
used to shoot because I go like anyone who's been around me, y'all know I get real hyper and happy. When I'm happy, I'm up there, and it's like I used to be mad at myself, like why am I so happy? And it's like okay, enjoy that, like that's and hey, if that's a part of my personality, hey, I love it. Look, it just let's not shame ourselves when we are really genuinely happy and in a good space. Sometimes I like this too. Sometimes nothing's wrong. Sometimes
Mhm.
there is a moment where nothing is wrong. Like things are great, are in place. You know what I mean? So, let's not question that. We don't question the bad days. Why, you accept why it's bad. So why can't we accept when it's good and why it's good? So that's something else to throw in there. So it's time for our wrap up segment to how this relate to self love. Self love is being patient and loving yourself through the challenging days. We gotta like we love our good, we gotta love our bad, and still show up for ourselves when things ain't so easy. Just like we show up for a loved one when they're going through something, be there for yourself as well.
Yep. And a reminder to everybody out there, the bad day is temporary. Not the pain, but that bad day is definitely temporary. You know that quote that says this too shall pass. Like that's something that is good to live by, and just remind yourself that giving that wound, that trigger some time, nurture yourself a little bit in the process, but eventually this day will move forward too.
Yes, and also too, sometimes you just have to pause and take a deep breath. I've been learning the beauty of that because I'm one of those people. I can hear some bad news and I'm just all over the place. Like, oh my goodness! But I've been learning like, okay, wait a minute, let's breathe, let's think this out. How am I going to move forward? Okay, I just got this. This just got presented to me. What am I
Yeah.
now going to do? How am I going to pivot through this? Just like you driving, there's a dead end. Okay, you got to make an adjustment to get back on the road. So sometimes with life, we have to just take that pause because especially if you the type like me and Jen, we get in our head, yo, well, those thoughts start. That's it. So I'm not going there. Okay, so look, we gonna pause, take a deep breath, and then figure it out. Because guess what? We've been figuring it out. I saw something. I'm like, and I see why older people are so chill. I'm like, David, if you're like 60 years old, you done figured out 60 years of life. Okay, so I feel like we're hitting that where I'm like, I already done figured out this. We gonna be all right. Like,
Oh, that's so true. Why is that true though? I love that. Yeah, like we've been figuring it out, so might as well
whatever.
continue. Yeah,
At this point,
that's
shoot.
awesome.
Whew.
And a big reminder for myself, especially, but for a lot of us, don't always follow your impulse on a bad day, right? Sometimes those thoughts get the best of us. Sometimes we do some things that we shouldn't do. So we're just adding more onto that bad day, all because we're what? Following an impulse that knowing dang well deep down inside we ain't supposed to be doing. So don't always follow that. Don't always listen to that negative voice in your head that's saying, oh, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's just either make somebody else's day bad or let's just add more sugar on top of this. Like, no, do not do that to yourself. And Jen taking mental note over here too.
I like that, yeah, because when that petty side come out, that's it. It's like, ooh,
Yeah.
and some things can't be undone. So yeah, you're right. And don't give all your power to that bad day. Like I said, our energy, our time is priceless. So use that currency. Why? Use that wisely. What are we dishing out? You know what I mean? Because you're actually attracting more of it whenever you're paying attention to it, focusing on the most. And what's our wrap up for tonight?
That's really big, y'all. So purposely find something good in your bad day. Take control of that bad day. I think that's what we're trying to just say to everybody, right? That it is normal to have them. You are going to have them at one point or another, but make sure that you're trying to at least find something good in that bad day. Certain news that we may receive or go through, whichever, may feel like that's impossible to do. But if you're living to tell that story, that means that you're day could have been a lot worse. So
Oh,
find the good.
yes, that was well said. Hopefully, hopefully, y'all took some notes and stuff. But we appreciate y'all tapping into our seventh episode of our newest segment, Speak Up JV Now. Make sure y'all tap on us every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. We have our pre-recordings. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Follow us on Instagram at SpeakUpJV. My personal Instagram is at Vernisa, and we're on Twitter at SpeakUpJV. But before we go, quick shout out to our amazing sponsors. Shout out to My Bar, located at 720 East Manchester, Inglewood, California. Get your nails, your lashes, your hair done. Ask for mine. Tell them that Speak Up JV sent you. The Instagram is at myy.bar.
And shout out to Be Actual Natural. Why settle for less? All their products are created with you in mind for a goal to let your self love show through your self care. Their chemical free hair and skincare products are handmade, plant based, and free of fillers or preservatives. Treat yourself while you're taking care of yourself. Start your journey at www.beactualnatural.com or check them out on Instagram at BeActualNatural.
Yes, most definitely. But we love y'all. Tell y'all friends about Speak Up JV, and we'll be back. See y'all soon.
Love y'all.
Bye.